All right, get ready. It's time to dive deep into, well, the heart of Madrid.
Oh, I like that.
The clash of the Titans, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. I'm talking about the Madrid Derby. It's coming up on Saturday, February 8th. And you know this is way more than just a game.
Yeah, this match, it has a history, a pulse.
Yeah.
And probably a whole city holding its breath. We're going to try to give you the inside scoop.
Okay, so let's start breaking it down with recent form. I know both these teams have been putting on shows.
Yeah.
But something tells me there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, you're right. At first glance, both teams are looking good. Real Madrid, 5 wins in their last 7 matches, and Atletico Madrid has an incredible 7 straight victories. But, like you said, we got to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
And the picture starts to change a little bit.
Oh, I like where this is going. What am I missing here?
Well, those Real Madrid wins, they're kind of peppered with a couple losses, which is unusual for them.
Yeah, you're right.
And those losses, they might point to a bigger problem. Their injury list, it's like a who's who of their starting lineup.
Oh, no.
We're talking Mbappe, Bellingham, Alaba, Rudiger, all out.
Wow, that's a huge chunk of their core players missing. That's got to impact their game plan, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Offensively, they're missing the creativity and firepower of Mbappe and Bellingham. Those two were a huge part of their goal production.
Yeah. And defensively, Alaba and Rudiger, they're rocks,
Yeah, those guys are solid.
So they're going to feel those absences for sure.
Defensively, they're, they still managed to score 15 goals in those 7 matches, but conceding 7 goals shows those defensive gaps.
So I'm guessing Atletico Madrid must be licking their chops at this opportunity. 7 straight wins is already scary.
Yeah.
Now they're facing a Real Madrid team that's missing some pieces.
It definitely tips the scales in their favor, I would say. Atletico, they're scoring consistently 14 goals in their winning streak, and their defense has been phenomenal, only allowing 4 goals against.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is. And that tells you a lot about their strategy going into this match.
Yeah, that defensive strength, it has to be playing on Real Madrid's minds. Do you think they'll even be able to adapt and still find a way to break through? Or will Atletico's defense kind of dictate the entire game?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It's going to be a fascinating tactical battle, that's for sure. Real Madrid, they have to find a way to compensate for those missing stars.
Right.
Do they go all-out attack and just try to overwhelm Atletico, knowing their defense is weaker? Or do they play a more conservative game, hoping to capitalize on counterattacks and set pieces?
Ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat already, but let's not forget about, the Bernabéu factor. Real Madrid's home turf is legendary.
Yeah.
Does that change anything?
Real Madrid's home record is formidable. 5 wins out of 6, 12 goals scored, only 5 conceded. The Bernabéu can be a fortress.
Yeah.
However, Atletico Madrid, they're not intimidated by playing away. They've won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1 in their last 6 away games.
So even with Real Madrid's home advantage, it sounds like Atletico Madrid isn't backing down. This is shaping up to be a real nail-biter.
It really is. And to add another layer of intrigue, the data suggests something interesting about the style of play we might see.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay, so remember how strong Atletico's defense has been?
Yeah.
Their probability of keeping a clean sheet in this match is over 57%, compared to Real Madrid's 28%.
That's a massive difference. You don't see those kind of numbers very often.
You don't. And it's not just about individual defenders. Atletico Madrid, they play a very disciplined, organized style under Simeone. They frustrate opponents, they close down space, and they are incredibly difficult to break down.
Okay, so even though both teams have been scoring consistently, are we thinking this might actually be a low-scoring affair?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Right.
In fact, the data leans towards a match with under 2.5 goals.
This is where, my head and my heart are having a tug of war. On one hand, the data makes a strong case for a low-scoring game, but on the other hand, it's the Madrid Derby. These matches are known for their passion, their intensity.
Right.
And, sometimes unexpected bursts of goal.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This is where the data and the human element, they collide.
All right, I'm hooked. Knowing this is potentially a low-scoring game just adds another layer of suspense.
Right.
Now let's dive into those possible scorelines you mentioned earlier. What are we looking at?
Well, based on everything we've talked about, the three most likely outcomes all point towards a tight contest.
Okay, give me the good stuff. What are those storylines?
The most likely outcome, we're looking at a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Then it's a close one, with a 1-0 win for Atletico Madrid being the next most probable.
Yep.
And then finally, a 2-1 win for Atletico Madrid rounds out the top three.
So it sounds like, I mean, all signs are pointing towards, a tense, low-scoring game with Atletico Madrid kind of having the edge. But before you place your bets, tell me more about these goalkeepers. I'm curious about, how they factor into these clean sheet predictions.
You're thinking like a true analyst.
I try.
When we talk about clean sheet probabilities, we can't forget about the men between the posts. On the Real Madrid side, you got Thibaut Courtois. I mean, this guy's one of the best in the world. Incredible reflexes, shot-stopping ability,
Yeah, Courtois can single-handedly win games for Real Madrid. So how does Atletico's keeper compare?
Well, for Atletico, you got Jan Oblak, who's a masterclass in positioning and composure.
Yeah.
He might not make as many, flashy saves as Courtois, but his ability to read the game, anticipate plays, and organize his defense is, second to none. He's a big reason why Atletico's clean sheet percentage is so high.
So it's almost like a clash of styles in the goalkeeping department, too. Like the explosive athleticism of Courtois versus the, tactical brilliance of Oblak.
That's a great way to put it. And that matchup alone will be worth the price of admission. Both these keepers, they're going to need to be at their best to, keep their teams in the game.
Oh, absolutely. You've painted a pretty clear picture of kind of the strategic battle we're about to see. Atletico's defense is a force to be reckoned with. Real Madrid is facing an uphill battle with these missing attackers.
Yeah.
But this is the Madrid Derby. We've seen crazier things happen. Is there anything in the data that suggests this game could buck the trends?
There's always room for the unexpected, right?
Yeah.
Real Madrid, they might be missing key players, but they still have a squad full of world-class talent.
Right.
And never underestimate the power of that Bernabéu crowd to lift the team.
Right. This is a team that thrives on big occasions. And even without some of their stars, they have players who can, step up.
Yeah.
We've seen it before with young guys like Vinícius Jr. and Rodrigo, They've risen to the occasion.
Exactly. And, those two, they're going to be crucial for Real Madrid if they want to break down that Atletico defense.
Right.
They've got the pace and the skill to cause some problems.
And let's not forget about Karim Benzema. Even with a slightly quieter season, he's a proven goal scorer. And, he can make the difference in a tight game like this.
You're absolutely right. Benzema's experience and his ability to create something out of nothing, that could be a major factor. So while the data leans towards Atletico, Real Madrid certainly has the potential to upset the odds.
Okay, so the stage is set for an epic battle. We got the tactical masterminds of Simeone and Ancelotti.
Right.
The goalkeeping duel between Courtois and Oblak. We have these young stars looking to make their mark. What more could you ask for?
It's a recipe for a classic Madrid derby. And speaking of recipes, you know what pairs well with football.
Besides snacks and drinks.
I'm talking about a little friendly wager. And, we wouldn't leave you hanging without some data-driven betting tips.
Now you're speaking my language. Let's hear what the data has to say about the best bets for this match.
All right, well, given everything we've discussed, it's not surprising that the data suggests backing Atletico Madrid to win.
Okay.
The odds for that are currently sitting at 2.86.
So for those who might not be familiar with betting odds, that means if you bet $100 on an Atletico win and they pull it off, you'd win $286.
That's exactly right. Now, if you're feeling a bit more adventurous, you could consider a bet on both teams to score, often called BTTS.
Okay.
Both teams have shown they can find the back of the net, pretty consistently. The odds for BTTS in this match are 1.85.
So you're saying it's slightly more likely that both teams will score at least once during the match?
Yep.
Okay. Given their attacking records, even with Real Madrid's injuries, that makes sense?
It does. And it could be an exciting bet to watch unfold. Now, if you're looking for a slightly safer option, consider the double chance bet.
Okay.
This means you're basically betting on two possible outcomes. In this case, backing an away win or draw seems like a solid choice. The odds for that are 1.54.
So you're basically saying Atletico Madrid will either win or the match will end in a draw.
Right.
That seems like a pretty safe bet considering all the factors we've discussed.
It does have a higher probability of happening based on the data, but remember, no bet is ever guaranteed. Now, for those who are kind of leaning towards that low-scoring prediction, Betting on under 2.5 goals at odds of 1.92 could be a smart move.
Okay, I see the logic there. Atletico's strong defense, Real Madrid's missing attackers. I mean, it does make it more likely that we'll see fewer goals. But what about those who want to go big or go home? Are there any riskier bets with higher potential payouts?
Of course. For those who like a little more spice, there's parlay or accumulator bets. These combine multiple selections into one bet. So, offering higher potential payouts, but also, increased risk.
Ooh, higher risk, higher reward. Tell me more about these parlay bets.
One exciting parlay bet would be combining Atletico Madrid to win, under 2.5 goals, and both teams to score. Yes. This combo has enhanced odds sitting around 5.50.
Wow. That's a significant payout if it hits. But of course, all three of those things have to happen.
They do. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario. Now, for a more conservative parlay bet, you could combine away winner draw under 3.5 goals and both teams to score yes. This offers safer odds around 2.70.
So this parlay bet has a slightly higher chance of winning, but with a lower payout compared to the first one. So it's all about finding that right balance between risk and potential reward.
Exactly. And remember, these are just suggestions based on the data we've analyzed. Betting always involves risk, and you can never bet more than you can afford to lose.
Absolutely, everyone. Please gamble responsibly. But even without betting, knowing these stats just adds another layer of excitement to the match.
I completely agree. It gives you a deeper appreciation, I think, for the tactical battles, the individual performances, the flow of the game.
So to recap, it looks like Atletico Madrid is coming into this match with momentum, a solid squad, and a defense that's been, virtually impenetrable. Real Madrid, despite their home advantage, is facing some serious challenges with those key injuries.
That's right. But as we've said, it's the Madrid Derby. These matches have a history of defying expectations, and the passion, the rivalry, the atmosphere, all of that can influence the outcome in unpredictable ways.
That's what makes football so thrilling. Sometimes the underdogs find a way to overcome the odds.
Yeah.
And speaking of defying expectations, let's talk about some of the historical trends we've seen in past Madrid derbies.
Yes. The history books are filled with twists and turns in this rivalry. Sometimes, the team in better form, they falter. And sometimes, individual players, they rise to the occasion and they become legends.
I know you've dug deep into the archives. What are some of the historical trends or patterns you've noticed that might be relevant to this match?
One thing that stands out is that the Madrid Derby tends to be a very tight affair. Regardless of the team's form or league positions, goals are often at a premium.
Okay.
And a single moment of brilliance or a defensive error, that can decide the outcome.
So even though Atletico's defense is statistically dominant right now, history suggests that Real Madrid could still find a way to snatch a goal, even with a depleted attack.
Exactly. And don't forget about set pieces. Those could be absolute game changers in these types of matches.
Yeah.
A well-placed free kick, a powerful header from a corner, it can swing momentum in an instant.
So even if Real Madrid struggles to kind of break down Atletico's defense in open play, they could still be dangerous from those set pieces.
For sure.
Especially with players like Benzema and maybe even a defender like Nacho, who's known for his aerial prowess.
You got it. And historically, Real Madrid has had a knack for scoring late goals in these matches.
Yeah.
Adding to the drama and the tension.
It's like they have this never say die attitude.
Right.
Especially at the Bernabéu, they've pulled off some incredible comebacks against Atletico in the past.
They certainly have, and that's why, despite all the data pointing towards an Atletico Madrid victory, you can never truly count Real Madrid out in the Madrid Derby.
This is what makes this rivalry so captivating. It's a clash of styles, a battle of wills. It's a constant reminder that anything can happen when these two teams meet.
Yeah, it's a perfect blend of tactical nuance, individual brilliance, and that intangible element of passion and history that makes football so special.
Before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, BTTS. I realize some listeners might not be familiar with that term. Could you quickly explain what it means?
Of course. BTTS stands for both teams to score. It's a simple bet where you're wagering on whether both teams will manage to score at least one goal during the match.
Okay, that makes sense. So in a BTTS bet, it doesn't matter who wins or loses, or even the final score.
Yep.
As long as both teams find the back of the net at least once, the bet is a winner.
That's exactly right. It can add an extra layer of excitement, to watching the game, because you're not just focused on one team winning, but on both teams having their moments of attacking success.
Okay, so we've covered the current form, the key absences, the goalkeeping battle, the tactical approaches, betting tips, and even some historical trends. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know before we wrap up?
I think we've covered the most important aspects.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the Madrid Derby is that it often throws up surprises. You know, players we haven't even mentioned could step up and become heroes. Tactical decisions could backfire. Moments of individual brilliance could change the course of the match. You never know.
That's the magic of football, isn't it? You can analyze all the data you want, but in the end, it's the human element, the passion, the unpredictable nature of the game that makes it so captivating.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, before we let you go, I want to put you on the spot. I know you're a master of data and analysis, but even the best predictions can go wrong. So forget about the numbers for a second and just give me your gut feeling. Who do you think will win this match?
Ooh, a gut feeling, huh? You're really putting me on the spot.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta go with your instincts, you know? Even when you're surrounded by all this data.
Fair enough.
Well, my gut is telling me this one could go either way. But if I had to pick, I think I'm leaning towards a draw. It just feels like both teams are going to be super cautious, knowing the stakes.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. A draw wouldn't be a surprising result at all, especially with Real Madrid's missing players.
It would set up the second leg of the tie for a thrilling finish. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to the here and now. We've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive, from the statistical analysis to the historical context. But, you know, what does it all mean for you, the listener, sitting there getting ready to watch this epic clash?
I mean, that's the key question, right? We can throw all these numbers and trends at you, but ultimately it's about, you know, enhancing your understanding and enjoyment of the game.
Exactly. So what are the key takeaways, the things you should be thinking about as you watch the match unfold on Saturday?
Well, first and foremost, keep an eye on how Real Madrid adapt to those key absences. Can they find creative ways to generate chances without Mbappe and Bellingham? And can their defense hold firm without Alaba and Rudiger?
Yeah, those are the big questions. It's going to be fascinating to see how Ancelotti sets up his team and who he chooses to fill those crucial roles.
And on the Atletico side, watch how they try to exploit Real Madrid's weaknesses. Will they press high and try to force errors, or will they sit back, absorb pressure, and rely on their counter-attacking prowess?
And of course, we can't forget about the goalkeeping duel. Both Courtois and Oblak have the potential to be the difference makers in this match, you know. Keep an eye on their positioning, their decision-making, and those crucial saves that can just, like, swing the momentum.
Absolutely. And beyond the tactics and individual matchups, pay attention to the intangible aspects. You know, the energy of the crowd, the passion of the players, the little moments of magic that can turn a game on its head.
Those are the moments that give you goosebumps and remind you why you love this sport.
Exactly. And finally, don't be afraid to challenge our predictions. We've presented you with the data, our analysis, but, you know, football is a game of surprises. Trust your instincts, form your own opinions, and just enjoy the ride.
Well said. Now, before we sign off, we want to hear from you. What are your predictions for the match? Who do you think will come out on top?
Head over to social media, use the hashtag Madrid Derby Deep Dive, and let's get a conversation going. Share your thoughts on the key matchups, the potential game changers, and anything else that's on your mind.
We love hearing your insights and perspectives, and most importantly, enjoy the game. It's going to be a clash of titans, a display of tactical brilliance, and a reminder of why we're all so passionate about this beautiful game.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.